time.
turnover.
Mike Callahan does not put up with that
Is
kind
this
of
the
stuff.
no fun league? Come on.
It has no bearing on the game.
Right?
It was laughable.
It was laughable.
I did like CP3 going, Jay Harden, go get your moms. Gotta get it.
Another turnover on that box score.
Right? You know that Chris, by the way, you know that Chris knows.
Assist turnover ratio.
Not happy. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Our insider Brian Windhorst is back. Two-time NBA champion Mike Miller. You never wear the ring. We got to get you to wear the ring.
I'll wear one.
Both rings, both rings.
That's right.
I got rings, baby. Okay, so by now you have surely heard about what Anthony Davis did against Phoenix last night. The man had 53 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 blocks, which is ridiculous. But want to be even more impressed? To quote our 30 for 30 guy, what if I told you what AD did, all of that, without scoring a single three-pointer? And what if I told you that after the last NBA player with 50 blocks, I have done that several times today, by the way. If he had 50 blocks, that would have been a fantastic game. Instead, he had 50 points, 5 blocks, and the last guy to do that was David Robinson in 1994. AD was an actual baby when that happened, less than a year old, baby brow. What if I told you that last night's explosion came on the second night of a back-to-back and that the first was an away game in which AD logged a team-high 43 minutes in overtime? This is just amazing, people. There's no other way to put it. Davis has been on fire these past 6 games. Let these numbers soak in. Averaging 42 points on 54% shooting. 39% from 3, 82% from the line, where he's getting more than 12 free throw attempts a game. He's also averaging 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals. This is crazy. And look, we should have known some version of this was coming, right? When AD and I sat down during the All-Star break, he was very open about what he felt he had to do with Boogie Cousins, now out for the season.
It goes back to AD before DeMarcus. A lot of minutes, weight of the world on your shoulders. You know, you got to carry the team on your back. You got to almost get 40 every night for us to give us a chance to win. You know, and it's back to that.
What is that actually like?
Yeah.
What is that like every day, over and over again?
It's tough. A lot of stuff. You kind of have that Russell Westbrook mentality when KD went out. You know, that's what y'all think about, man. Russ just went out there and played. He shot 40 shots sometimes. You know, whatever it takes to help your team win, and we're kind of taking that approach.
He is, of course, talking about how Russ went crazy last year after KD went to Oakland, and we all know that the result of Russ doing that was a very shiny MVP trophy. So it is no surprise that the past 15 hours have been an avalanche of Anthony Davis is now in the MVP race takes, which sure, I guess is true, and that when the MVP is announced, they will indeed release the top 5 GOAT-getters, and it seems more certain Davis will be on that list. But barring a James Harden injury, could Davis actually win? Well, the Pelicans only have 22 more games this season. I don't know. And more importantly, does just being in the race even matter? Maybe to some people, but here's the guy I do know it doesn't matter to. Anthony Davis. Because on this, he has been very clear. He has recalled multiple times this year that he was in the MVP race in 2015. That same year, the Pelicans were swept out of the playoffs in the first round by the Warriors. And as AD remembers it, he says that was the end of anyone caring about him or what he had done that season. So this time around, the thing he is focused on, the only thing he says he is focused on, is not just keeping the Pels in a playoff seed, but getting them to a high enough seed they have a shot at advancing. To that end, take a look. Right now, New Orleans sitting in the 5th spot and just 2 games out of 3rd. Of course, we'll have to see if AD can keep all this up. It will not be easy. He is running a very tough race, and he is doing it without another superstar at his side. But everyone should just be clear on the goal he is running toward, because he is. So I got to say, despite Anthony Davis saying he doesn't care about MVP, we're still going to discuss it. And to me, I have said, Brian, I don't know, with 22 games left, he can really make a case that he would beat out James Harden. There's been so much arguing about this before the show that we are going to make Mike Miller the judge, and I'm now going to let Brian Windhorst state his case for the record, and then Mikey will rule.
Rachel, how many years have you been covering the NBA? It's been many, many years, right? We won't put a number of years on it. We just know that it is more than one decade.
Like 24,
it is more than one decade. When in all those wonderful years has anything in the NBA been over in February? Why are you declaring something over in February? If you're asking me today if James Harden is the outright front runner, yes, absolutely. The Rockets have been great. Harden has been great. But why can't he make a run at this? Why also, if the Pelicans finish third, which is not a real possibility. I mean, yes, they're playing very well right now, and I'm not expecting them to average 42 points the rest of the way. But if they finish third, which they're 2 games from right now, and by the way, the team in third place, the Timberwolves just lost their best player in Jimmy Butler. If they finish in third place, and he carries them down the stretch to that, without DeMarcus Cousins, with a bunch of guys like Emeka Okafor is a guy who hasn't played in 3 years. He's getting major minutes for them. If he carries his team into there, you're damn right he's going to be in the MVP conversation in the race, however you want to frame it.
That's not the question.
That's not the question.
The question is, yes, he can. Will he
Okay,
win
make a run at MVP. Yes, if they're in third place, he will make a run at MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he can make a run, but her question is, will he win the MVP? And if James Harden plays the way he plays...
What does it say on the bottom of the screen?
But what does make a run mean? Make a run means actually has a shot to win.
Yes, yes. The answer to that is yes.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah. Well, he has a shot. He has a small shot. I mean, listen, he is an MVP-type player every year.
Yes.
The problem is that his team is, to your defense, his team has never been in a situation to where he's had a chance to be in the top 4, top 5. They haven't. So, with that being said, he has a chance. But James Harden just having that type of year, if they're the #1 seed, it's over. If they're number 1 or number 2 just because of Golden State, James Harden, if he stays the way he's playing, is winning the MVP.
Yeah, I heard several ifs in there. And
I heard a lot of ifs from you, too.
I agree.
If he averages 42 and they get the top 4.
I agree. We're arguing whether it is if.
Okay, but
so that's what I'm saying.
First of all, yes, February, although we must say that February ends tomorrow and that the season is over in 6 weeks. So let's not pretend we're in the middle of the season. The season's over in 6 weeks. The Pelicans only have 22 games left. I would just say that this doesn't have to be the standard for Anthony Davis. That I think that he has this great week, right? He has this amazing couple weeks, and everyone's like, oh, he could be making a run at MVP. I don't think that unless James Harden gets hurt or somehow something crazy changes with James Harden, enough people would vote Anthony Davis MVP.
This show is founded on the principle of things crazy happening in the NBA.
Well, that's true.
So how, I mean...
And this doesn't change how good he is. I just don't think, giving the year Houston's having, I just don't see it being a chance.
Okay, I'm not putting down money. I'm just saying, what does it say? Could Anthony Davis make around MVP? Yes.
That means actually
yes.
win.
Well, then I'm signing with you. Yes, he can make a change.
Well, then, Rachel, you run this show. You could change that bar down there and says, but make a run is the question I was asked, and the answer is yes.
I do want to talk about the Rockets, though, because they look so good. We all sat on the show yesterday. Mike, you said you thought Utah was the game that the streak would end at. CP3 taking ankles, their 13th straight win. Now, Houston becomes only the 8th team since the merger with 2 different 13-game win streaks in a season. And that is important because 4 of those 8 teams ended up winning a title this season. We have watched the Rockets seem to creep closer and closer to the Warriors through the season, right? Would this work? Oh, yeah, it is working. Hey, it's working really well. Where are we now, Mike, to you, and how close these teams are?
We're close. I mean, I think, to me, the Rockets winning 13, to me, everything is where they're seated at the end. They have to win the Western Conference to have a chance to beat Golden State. They have to. And the question's been asked is how important is these 13-game win streak? It's everything. It's everything because if they want a chance to beat Golden State, they have to do it at home. And so they have to obviously win the West.
Boy, Mike, I was feeling good about our pick of the Jazz when they were up 15 in the first half yesterday. This was the most impressive win for me for the Rockets this season. Mike D'Antoni said essentially the same thing last night. They had 33 points 22 minutes into this game. They're playing the second night of a back-to-back in Utah without 3 rotation players, including Clint Capella, who's very important to them. Utah was defending like madmen early in that game. And for the Rockets to figure out how to win, not only win, but win going away so that the last seconds of the game could be Chris Paul dribbling out and high-fiving with James Harden's mom. That is a championship-type performance. And I know that Utah isn't, the 86 Celtics, but under the circumstances, with no Ryan Anderson, no Eric Gordon, nor Clint Capella, Utah really wanted to win that game. I was extraordinarily impressed. And they did it in a game where they shut down Donovan Mitchell. They took a team on their home court in a tough place to play. The fans were into it, and they just did a really good job of. That's how you win a road playoff game. You know, you've been a part of a lot of those. You just you to death,
grind them out.
And that's what it was.
They're doing all the small things that we had the questions about this team going into the season, and what you said to me is the most impressive thing about that win.
Yeah, and look, their odds have gone down. I think Kevin Pelton had on ESPN.com that the Rockets' odds to win a title a few months ago were 16-1. Now they're 2-1. Obviously, the Warriors are the ones who have the best odds for that. But that's,
what's Anthony Davis' odds to win the MVP? I'd like to see what those are, as long as we're looking those up.
They're not as good as James Harden. Coming up, Kawhi Leonard now eyeing a late March return. That's a little different than we were hearing a couple weeks ago. What is the ceiling for the Spurs if he comes back? We have some points of disagreement there as well. First, though, here's our distant replay. This date in '93. This one's good.
I love disagreements.